The most gorgeous goals you'll ever see with 3 minutes left. But how the Blues came back to beat the Avalanche. A minute left, Rob Thomas. It was a hot one. And then overtime, Tyler Bozak, so smooth. This series is not over, Bill Plaschke. Let's go.
Yeah, but the Heat series is still going.
Midday's done.
Stop. We're still looking for simultaneous minutes where the Celtics and Heat are both playing good basketball. How many did we get last night? The 2002 Eastern Conference Finals look alike last night. Boston taking over in the second half. Jaylen Brown, flawless second half. Whether it's all finally clicked for the Celtics, whether Miami is out of gas, whether Miami needs another star like Joel Embiid, impartial observer noted last night. Bill Plaschke, I hesitate to even see, and that's why you're getting muted. Israel Gutierrez, you were there. What did you see last night? How did we get here?
Thank you, Tony. Look, here you like to ask, how did this happen? I'll tell you how this happened, right? You go into the game, Jimmy Butler's not hurt, but you see he's not on the injury report because he's trying to just tough it out. The beginning of that game, it was obvious that he was not himself. He was not even close. He was just kind of, and not setting a tone, being very slow, taking whatever the defense gave him. And Boston knew at that point, hey, we've got this under control because we can control Jimmy Butler. And then you start looking around the rest of the team, and it's like, okay, we want to go to Bam Adebayo, who Bam Adebayo has not been a primary offensive force all season long, really, especially not in the post. And his best pick-and-roll partner, Tyler Hero, out of the game with an injury. So then you start looking around, and yes, Miami Heat do have a bunch of shooters, but they were 0 for 23 on open shots last night, in large part because it doesn't come in the natural flow of the offense. And that, that happens. And, your Max Strus is around limping because he's got a bad hit. But
all right. It seems like there's going to be a 30 for 30 on Heat culture. You want a little more? All right, give us a little more, please.
The two Boston scorers who have that ability over anybody in Miami did their thing in the second half, and that was the difference. Yeah. But this isn't, hey, Boston has unlocked everything. This is where the Heat are right now.
I appreciate that you were there. More than anything, Israel Gutierrez, and thank you very much. Bill Plaschke, I think in 2 words you can get to the crux of this game and this series. Please, go ahead.
It's over. Those are 2 words. You wanted 2 words. You got 2 words. It's amazing. Miami is just exhausted. They're hurt. You saw it when Butler started the fourth quarter trying to get him back in the game. Air ball. Yep. He's lost his legs. The backcourt of Lowry and Strus have made 1 basket in 2 games. They were 0 for 15 yesterday, the worst backcourt performance of any backcourt in 50 years of NBA playoffs. They're all hurt. They're all tired. Nobody can score the ball. This one's done.
Sarah Spain, I'll bring you in here.
It's done.
Because you have been slow to ever agree with Bill Plaschke and on anything.
When he says something's over.
But even on him proclaiming a series over when there's games remaining, and we got a game 6 coming up, please.
Right, you say slow, I say right. Right, because he said things.
You've been right to never agree with Bill Plaschke. Yes, I would agree with that too.
In this case, I agree, but I want to point out that at the very end of Izzy's lengthy 30 for 30, he finally mentioned the Celtics. And yes, you can address that the Heat players are underperforming, but you have to acknowledge it's the adjustments that the Celtics have made, who themselves are injured. But they're not switching big men off of Jimmy and letting guards go on switches. They're just putting the big men on them and saying, here, take a jumper over a big and see if it lands, because we'd rather do that than chase and foul and send you to the line where you're still effective. And we saw last night he doesn't have the legs because of the injury and he can't make those shots. You're also looking at Bam, a guy who has not been good against true bigs, whether it's Embiid or Robert Williams or anyone else. So he was effective in the game that Williams was out, but when you go back to him now, he's not going to score in the paint with the bigger, more physical Celtics team. The Celtics are doing the things that they need to do while eliminating the turnovers.
Okay, now you can wait for your 30 for 30 to come out. Sarah, you agree with Bill. It's over. Thank you. Kevin Blackistone, is it over?
Yes, it is over. But you know what? I mean, I was riding the seas going into this series anyway. I thought that they were a deeper team. I thought that they were able to match the Heat's defensive intensity, and they've done that. Let's not forget, not only do they have the Defensive Player of the Year in Marcus Smart, who didn't play much last night, but they also have Robert Williams, who's on the all-defensive team. And look at how versatile a player he is, being able to block three-point shots, jumping out of the lane to the corner, clogging up the middle, being able to play smaller players. And they've got guys who can score the basketball all over the court, guys who can shoot the three and guys who can get to the rack. And even last night, when the Celtics were not at their best, right? I mean, they got out-rebounded. They looked out of sorts in the first half. They were still able to push through this game and only gave up 80 points in this NBA season. Come on. It's a better team.
Israel, you want a last word for the sequel to the 30 for 30? Please, go ahead.
Sure. And I hope this is enough for the Celtics fan. Look, what I'm saying here is basically these are two great defenses. The Celtics have effectively two players that can make tough shots over great defenses. Right now, the Heat have zero because Jimmy Butler is not that guy. So that means the Celtics right now look like
when
the
you
better
combine
team,
great
especially when it comes to the
defenses,
second
and
half,
I think
and the defenses.
you all agree,
are
great defenses are very, very good defenses. With offenses that struggle from time to time, you get the 2002 Eastern Conference Finals, which is what last night was. And this series have been the series of variants. I'm very antsy to get a good game. Maybe it's tonight. Mavs-Warriors, Game 5. Luka says he believes they can win. Max Kleber says the pressure's on Golden State. Jason Kidd said they had to go to zone defense because they can't guard us. The Mavs seem to be indicating they have a psychological edge, although Tim Calisher doesn't seem to agree with that. Sarah Spade is the positive thinking here from the Mavs. That power of positive thinking. Have you in any way thinking it might have a role in tonight's game?
No. I'm aligning with a fellow panelist again in Tim Calishaw and saying no. The Warriors are 8-0 at home. There are many factors that contributed to them not completing the sweep, not the least of which is that the Mavs were hot from beyond the arc, which is the biggest and most important thing that they need, and that supporting players helped Luka and shot better, made the shots off of his assists that they needed to. But you add into that they were playing freely as a team that knows they're up against 146-0, and let's just at least make this a gentleman's sweep. There is no pressure then on the Warriors to finish them out other than we get an extra couple days of rest. They're home now. Their focus will be back. They will not be distracted by the very powerful speech by Steve Kerr pregame, and they'll want to close things out, and they will.
Flashkid, it seems like you want to say something.
Yes, I'm down to say that I agree with Calishaw completely. He's my man, great columnist, and he hit it nail on the head. There's no path to this. 39-20, the Warriors outscored the Mavericks in the fourth quarter of the last game once they got their heads together. 8-0 at the Chase Center.
Oh, I mean, that game, wait, hold on a second. You have to give credit then to Dallas what they did the first three quarters when they were up by 29 to enable Golden State with its bench to roll like it did. Sorry, go ahead.
As Sarah said, but as Sarah said, their heads weren't in the game until the very end. Their heads will be in this game. This will be over.
So in two words, this series, Bill Plaschke?
It's over.
Kevin Blackistone, I bring you in here.
Yeah, so all of a sudden the Dallas Mavericks are the Dallas Stuart Smalleys. Remember Stuart Smalley from SNL?
Kevin.
The Nile is not just a river in Egypt. No, it's absolutely over. And one of the interesting observations made about this game by Jason Kidd, I think, was talking about the Warriors' zone defense. Against which the Mavericks went 1 for 7 from the three-point line. So, yes, they can play a zone defense and play it effectively against you. They can play man-to-man and play it effectively against you. They can run people at Luka and make him give up the ball. So, yeah, it's
Israel Gutierrez, clean sweep.
I got two words for you. It's possible.
Okay, so not
And I think it's because Luka Doncic in elimination games is spectacular. He's averaging 36+ in elimination games, has scored 30+ in all of those, and all it takes is one of those games on the road where you have everybody shooting well around you. And as Sarah said about the no pressure thing in the last game, there's still no pressure on these guys. They know what the record is when they were down 3-0, and they know it remains the same. And so, in terms of coming back from 3-0. And so they're going to play loose, they're going to play free. Luka's going to set the tone. If he starts off early, I think the Mavericks have a chance.
All right, so there we go. There is something from the conference finals here of competitive nature on a basketball court. How about that? We move on. Don't have to go far because the hockey's been good. How the Blues came back last night to beat the Avalanche and win Game 5 and stave off elimination. It was 3-0 Colorado. It was a wrap. But the Blues whittled away And then McKinnon's beauty, just 3 minutes left. You thought it was a wrap again. But 56 seconds remaining, Robert Thomas, it was a hot one. In overtime, Tyler Bozak, so smooth, I say again to you, Sarah Spain, because you get it. There's whether St. Louis won it or Colorado blew it, but more importantly, could it have a lasting impact? You think this could stick with Colorado? Or St. Louis, even.
I believe that goal was further than 7 inches from the frying sun. I really am going to regret making that statement because I don't think that's quite it.
Lead into it.
But not sure it's quite it. I was going to say that this was a choke and a blown game more so than an earned win after the first rally from down 3-0. But then you get behind again on a goal like that, and instead of just saying, all right, better team, better player, we gave our shot, they come back again to get the win. That is an earned W. Does it change the series? No. But hey, you got a W, you proved yourselves, and then you'll take the L.
Bill Plaschke.
2 words, Tony. Not over. This is not over.
There we go.
The Blues have 10 players from the Stanley Cup championship team. Still, they have some championship DNA there. They were done. There was hats on the ice with 2 minutes left in the game. McKinnon had the great goal. They were done. Then they came back. Kemper's been struggling the last 2 games. The Blues have a shot here. The Blues have a shot.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, I think they made a smart adjustment, right? They needed some scoring, and they got back to Tarasenko and Thomas on the same line. Those guys produced, so now you go home, you found a little something. So to Bill's point, it may not, in fact, be over. They may have found a little something for
And them. Israel, I think I could do this for you. Make it real or just forget about it? What are we doing with this series?
Well, I would say forget about it. It kind of made me sad because coming back from 3-0 deficits is kind of what the Florida Panthers did this regular season, and that didn't translate into the playoffs. So I don't know if coming back from one 3-0 deficit is going to translate for the rest of the playoffs, but I hope so for their sake.
Here's Craig bleeping Berube in all his bleeping glory after that win, and gory. Go ahead, roll tape.
Right, boy, Bozy, baby! Great work to that shot, boy. Way to hang in there. Let's go, boys. Way to play your soft. What a character.
All right, let's don't forget about it. Buy or sell next.
We went blue.
Peters, did he throw? Did he run? Whatever. Vegas is a steel trap. Ian Rappaport did report it seemed like it went well. So big picture, Bill Plaschke, what does a Kaepernick workout mean?
The first thing is I'm amazed it's his first workout in 6 years. That's shameful. That is just utterly, think about that, 6 years, nobody's even giving him a shot. I hope he makes it. I'm cheering for him, but I hope he makes it on his own merits. I hope they don't take him just as a symbol or as a publicity thing, because I don't want anybody, he gets on the field in October sometime and somebody says, oh, look, he's no good. That's why he didn't play. I hope he's good enough to make it and good enough to stick.
Sarah Spain.
Yeah, isn't it wild that now we're wondering whether he would be taken onto a team for the good publicity when the argument has been over the last 6 years that you can't bring him in because of a distraction? I hope he's good enough to play. I hope he gets paid to play football. I hope he manages to get into a locker room and a team and a league where he can make a difference, even though he hasn't been super vocal in the past. I think his presence says something about an evolution in a space that was clearly deeply flawed. And I think that's more important than the possibility that the Raiders are just using him to cover up for their ills.
So you're saying the lawsuit that was reported.
Gruden.
And the Gruden, right.
The accusations against Davis, you know, the things that are going on around that team, I hope he's not being used to cover them up as opposed to being given an opportunity.
Israel Gutierrez.
Yeah, and I would hope that Mark Davis having given his blessing on Kaepernick in the past is the answer to that, Sarah. I would hope anyway. But one of the things that I really want to happen is if he does get on a team, and this would be with merit because they've got a couple of decent backups on that team, I would want it to be and have an effect in the locker room more than anything, because you want to talk about a dialogue that was created by Kaepernick and probably got messed up along the way. Well, you're talking to the source right there in the locker room, maybe spread to other locker rooms across the league, have the conversation he's wanted people to have to begin with.
Kevin Blackistone, you've written quite a bit about this, and your view of Kaepernick is, well, it's nuanced, it's evolved over time as well. How do you see this workout?
Well, you know, it's kind of ironic, right? He's got to work out for a job that he probably shouldn't have lost in the first place. But, you know, the cynic in me goes towards what Bill and Sarah were talking about and him being used as deodorizer for a team that we know a former coach was making racist comments about DeMaurice Smith, head of the NFLPA, and emails. We know that an HR director there just filed a lawsuit with the Equal Rights Commission in Nevada alleging racial discrimination. So I hope that it's not for that and it's legitimate, but my antennae are up.
But your overall view
other
of Kaepernick as the face of a movement historically now.
Yeah, I mean, it has changed over time. The comparisons to him and Ali, for me, just aren't there. I'm not sure what he wants right now. Does he want to be an activist? Does he want to be part of a league that drummed him out over his protests? Why would you want to come back to that? I'm still trying to figure out the whole story here.
Buy or sell two, John Harbaugh at Ravens OTAs.
Traditionally, quarterback is kind of that exception. We know veterans aren't here voluntarily quite often, but is it a concern not having them here?
It's not for me to speak for somebody else on that. It's up to him to speak for himself on that.
Speaking for himself, at least in social media this week, Lamar Jackson says he can't wait to get back with the team, having their rocket ships and hearts. And he also posted photos from OTAs with a stock rising emoji. Sarah, you picking up some angst or maybe irk, possibly some rankle from Harbaugh with Lamar's absence?
Yes. He was potentially peeved, galled, maybe even abraded. And you could tell that because he didn't answer the question directly. Do you have concern that he's not here? Well, you'd have to ask him. Ask him if I'm concerned? That doesn't make any sense. Like, if you answer the question straight, we'll believe you, but since you didn't, we don't. He's worried.
And is it right for him to have gall?
I think in this circumstance, it matters that your starter isn't there. Normally, they are voluntary. But if Aaron Rodgers isn't there right now for the Packers, it's fine. His deal is figured out. If Kyler Murray and Lamar aren't, and we know what's going on, it's something to think about.
Yeah, it should confuse him because, the Ravens and them supposedly talked about long-term contracts, and there's not really a whole lot of discussion there. Is it anger because of the Hollywood Brown trade? Is he trying to make a statement here? Or is Lamar just not really about wearing out his body in volunteer OTAs? It's all it's a little bit confusing, and Harbaugh, with that answer, just kind of goes to show you that he's not exactly sure what's going on here either. So we're going to have to see what happens.
Kevin Blackistone, is that how you read it?
Yeah, I think he's frustrated as a coach. You've got your quarterback for the future. You got a guy who's 30-8. Yeah, 1-3 in the playoffs. He's going to get better than that. But, he is the stick that stirs the drink that is the Ravens. So you want that guy there right now.
Bill Plaschke.
I've spent 40 years in these press conferences, and coaches always have a tell if they're mad. They will answer the question, then look away. Watch the press conference. Harbaugh answers the questions and then looks away, looks to somebody else.
This is incredible, Bill Plaschke.
That's a clear tell that he's upset with Jackson, and Lamar should be in there. Lamar's obviously upset with him.
Israel Gutierrez, what did you think of my scoring today? Blackistone, what did you think of my scoring? There it is. All right, Plaschke. And you notice, Bill, you never break eye contact. Very good.
It's over.
All right. Nice guy.
KB, nice.
Oh, where you going, KB? You're going over there. All right. Spain news that Kevin Durant hasn't spoken to the Nets since they lost, and that the team is unwilling to sign Kyrie Irving long-term. Bill Plaschke, Nets in the midst of a breakup?
I hope so, and I hope what happens is they trade Kyrie to the Lakers for Russell.
Okay, there we go. Why would they want? Sarah, please. Sarah,
not a
you don't even need. You don't even need it. Here's the point, Sarah. There you go.
Thank you.
Just enjoy it. Come on, Plaschke. What are you doing? Showdown 2.
I think it would work.
There any other true Detroit Tiger fan as disappointed as I am? This is Joel Zamaya. Now, former Tigers pitcher, as you can see. It's me, Joe Zamaya, number 54, and he's blaming the nerds. He says he's disgusted and disappointed and that the old English D needs to be brought back to be iconic. Can Zamaya affect change with the Tigers organization, Sarah Spain?
I think calling out teams struggling like this, especially in baseball where you can own all the money without putting up any good numbers, is important. But the nerds part got me. The nerds are important these days. You need them alongside
Bill
the baseball
Plaschke
guys.
The Tigers are having kind of a rebirth year. They had a 3,000 hit with Miggy this year. They've got a decent young team. It's early in the season. Zamaya should affect no change. The Tigers, I think, are going in the right direction.
This is the direction
And
you're going, Bill
and I think the Lakers should
And
trade
here's
Russell
the
Westbrook
direction
for
for Sarah
Kyrie.
Spade. 30 seconds of FaceTime.
So ESPN's Ryan Hawkins-Smith wrote a fun story having actual professional runners grade Tom Cruise running in movies, which had us wondering not the best athletes in movies, but the worst. And we got Madonna playing baseball in a league of their own. We got Russell Crowe somehow trying to pretend to be a hockey player. We've got Air Bud, a wide retriever. I just didn't think that was believable. And what came up was maybe Ray Liotta as Shoeless Joe, not the most believable baseball player, but the movie, beloved, the performance, beloved. So RIP to Ray Liotta. That just one of many memorable performances, and I bought it.
As far back as I could remember, I wanted to be a sportscaster. I mean, and I say that with love for Ray Liotta, as you all know. Goodfellas is in the DNA of this show, very much so. So, to his family and his friends, I'm sorry for their loss. We were just in the midst of a Liotta sans, so that's very tough for me. I also want to say I like going this way. There are no lines, all right? Let's go. Hey, how you doing? What's happening over here? Thank you for coming out here.
Hi.
Every time you two, don't you work? Don't you work? Look at this. Hey, everybody gets a little bit here. Follow me, all right? I like going this way.